Hey, come see me do stand-up in Ontario, California, Las Vegas, and Davenport, Iowa. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets. So you know at Stanford University, so when the government, the deep state, wanted to censor people, they knew they couldn't do it directly, so they had to set up these what looked to be independent institutes of research that would recommend censorship. So one of this is the Stanford Internet Observatory. So they were responsible for COVID-19 and 2020 election censorship. And guess what? It's being shut down now. So I just want to say, nice going, anti-vax people who question the 2020 election. You're putting people out of work at the Election Integrity Partnership, who partnered with Stanford Internet Observatory and the University of Washington Center for Informed Public, the Atlantic Council, Digital Forensic Research, and Graphika. So normally I'm sad when people lose their jobs. Well, this is good. This is a happy day. So where are all these people going to find work now? You know, where else is going to hire people who are completely full of shit in America? I don't know. Maybe every major news outlet. How about that? Including all the phony independent news outlets. So the DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, outsourced censorship to the Election Integrity Partnership. It was called EIP. They comprised of 4 organizations: the Stanford Internet Observatory, which is being shut down, the University of Washington Center for the Informed Public, the Atlantic Council's Digital Forensic Research Lab, and Graphika. During the 2020 election, 120 analysts monitored 15 tech platforms. I didn't even know there were 15 tech platforms. 22 million tweets labeled misinformation. And entire misinformation narratives targeted for platform-wide throttling. The EIP claimed every repeat spreader of election misinformation was a Trump supporter. The cancelers are now being canceled, and I say hooray. So there was 4 major ones that made up the Election Integrity Partnership, EIP. So it was this group, the Stanford Internet Observatory, the University of Washington Center for Informed Public, the Atlantic Council's Digital Forensic Research Lab, and Graphika. Wow. I say good. So here is this article written by 2 pro-censorship people. So these people they're so pro-censorship, they stopped using Twitter in 2023 because they're outraged over people getting to say what they want. So the Casey Newton and Zoe Schiffer, so they're very anti-American, they're very fascist, very authoritarian, and they hate that you get to say what you want, and they hate that you get to read what other people have to say. And they wrote this article, the Stanford Internet Observatory is being dismantled. And I say good. All those people who dedicated their lives to shutting down someone else's voice have to look for library jobs where they go around shushing people now. After 5 years of pioneering research into the abuse of social the Stanford Internet Observatory is winding down. Oh boy. Its founding director, Alex Stamos, left his position in November. Renee DiResta, that name is familiar to me. Its research director left last week after her contract was not reviewed. That's because you failed your masters. They are not pleased with you. We were supposed to be slaves on our knees by now, and that didn't happen. No, what you tried, you guys just couldn't get it done. By the way, religion is still wide open. Lots of growth opportunities for you guys over there. One other staff member's contract expired this month, while others have been told to look for jobs elsewhere. The lab, I like how they call it a lab, where you sit around and you just try to censor people. It's a lab. We're wearing white coats. The lab will not conduct research into the 2024 election or other elections in the future. Don't you? I love when they use the term research when they actually mean thorough manipulation, because that's what they are doing. They're not looking into it. They're looking into destroying it. That's not research. That's directly researching you. That's what they're doing. We're the laboratory dogs that they're torturing. The shutdown comes amid a sustained and increasingly successful campaign among Republicans to discredit research institutions. Well, good for them. Finally, Republicans doing something good, huh? And discourage academics from investigating political speech and influence. You know, they're not investigating. They're trying to censor political speech they don't like. And again, if you're not for speech that disgusts you, then you're not for free speech. Because the speech that you like doesn't need the protection of the First Amendment. It's the speech that you hate that needs protection. And if you're not for that protection of speech you hate, then you're an authoritarian fascist. Not the other way around. You're not for freedom. And so this SIO, as it was known, and its researchers have been sued 3 times by conservative groups alleging that its researchers colluded illegally with the federal government to censor speech. You know why? Because they did. They did. That's what the Twitter files found out. That's what Schellenberger found out. That's what Matt Taibbi found out. That they did collude and conspire. It's called conspiring. Colluded illegally with the federal government to censor speech, forcing Stanford to spend millions of dollars to defend its staff and students. I mean, to defend its criminality. That's what you're talking about. They put a lot of research into gaslighting. In quietly dismantling SIO, the university seems to have calculated that the lab had become more trouble than it's worth. In a statement emailed after publication, Stanford strongly disputed the fact that SIO is being dismantled. Oh, really? By the way, they might be shutting this one down, but they're going to be opening up another one. The Department of Homeland Security, the people who want censorship. The billionaire class that wants censored, that wants to control the narrative, which is the war machine, which is Silicon Valley, which is Big Pharma and Wall Street, they're going to come up with another SIO institution. So these people might be temporarily out of a job, but more jobs will be opening up, believe me. I like how they say the important work of SIO continues under new leadership, including its critical work on child safety. Oh, the children. And other online harms. Its publication of the Journal of Online Trust and Safety, the Trust and Safety Research Conference, and the Trust and Safety Teaching Consortium, a spokesperson said, boy, they're into trust and safety trust. Trusting safety, you should research safety, trust that safety research. Holy shit. I can't. I bet if I reread 1984, that's in there somewhere. Stanford remains deeply concerned about efforts, including lawsuits and congressional investigations, that chill freedom of inquiry. No, do you see how they make themselves the victim? Chill freedom of inquiry? No, you are putting a chill in freedom of speech. You're trying to literally suppress and censor freedom of speech. And now people are looking into you. And now so this is called being a cry bully. You're the one out there shutting people down, slandering people, trying to get them censored. And then as soon as someone looks into what you're doing, oh my God, they're trying to chill our freedom of inquiry and undermine legitimate and much needed academic research. You're not doing research. You're censoring people. You're slandering people. And you're pushing an agenda. You know, the first thing I think of when I think of Stanford University, it's child safety. That's the first thing I think. You're better off leaving your kid with the guy who runs the Ferris wheel at the carnival. This guy says, this is very, very sad. Solidarity with Stanford DO, and very alarmed that top institutions conducting cutting-edge research. Again, this is not research. This is flat-out censorship. You're flagging political speech you don't like. Doing cutting-edge research on internet repression and algorithmic authoritarianism. That's exactly what you're doing. That's exactly what they're doing. Algorithmic authoritarianism. Wow, it's amazing how they could... So whatever they accuse you of, that's what they're doing. And my spidey senses are telling me that these people are working overtime on their shredders. So we don't get to figure out all the fuckery that they were up to. Matt says the Stanford Internet Observatory is being finally shut down. This claimed fighter of disinformation functioned mainly as a spreader of disinformation, working primarily to censor true information and other opinions its founders subjectively disliked, but often nevertheless has been repeatedly vindicated since. Much of it, the observatory even internally knew was true. For example, they had a thing called true posts, which could fuel hesitancy, but sought to censor it anyway. So this is factual and it's true, but this will make people hesitant to get the vaccine, so we're going to censor it. Its disturbing authoritarian bent focused on presumptively seeking to censor questioning or criticism of powerful government officials and organizations, regardless of any evidence, an embarrassing reversal of essentially anything a university is supposed to stand for. They became the Nazis. They became the fascists. For example, they even sought to censor reports of vaccinated individuals contracting COVID-19. Desperately attempting to hide or deny a situation that literally applies to the majority of the country today. Most of the people who got the COVID vaccines got COVID, and they tried to censor that. That's who these people are. And they all do it under the guise of they're trying to protect you from misinformation, as they're the ones suppressing accurate information and distributing disinformation and misinformation. In short, the Stanford Internet Observatory's virality project had countless people, mostly Stanford students, reporting millions of Twitter posts that didn't comply with their standards. Even posts that were factually true faced censorship if they didn't conform to the subjective whims of SIO officials. The evidence points to a para-governmental fusion of universities, social media companies, and the federal government, all working to censor free speech. We at the Review take Stanford's actions to suppress speech very seriously. Stanford cannot be allowed to sweep this gross violation of fundamental freedoms under the rug. The university must answer for their actions. And now they're trying to paint themselves as a victim. The people who are committing gross violations of fundamental freedoms, now they're saying that they're the victim. They're going to put a chill into research. These are the brown shirts of today, right? Remember how Hitler had the brown shirts? Well, the brown shirts are at Stanford University. In this gross violation of online free speech, emails revealed that the Stanford Internet Observatory actively collaborated with Twitter to suppress information they knew was factually true. Matt Taibbi's investigation revealed that Stanford's virality project recommended that multiple platforms take action against stories of true vaccine side effects and true posts which could fuel hesitancy. I'm sure one of my posts were that, because I posted about it. The project succeeded in getting big tech companies to take down about 35% of the content they flagged. They reviewed content en masse from almost every major social media: Twitter, Google, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Medium, TikTok, and Pinterest were all monitored by Stanford. The questionable censorship decisions, this guy says, while this is good news, the key is to ensure that they just don't all magically reappear under a different name or an organization. I doubt they will give up their attempts to create a censorship industrial complex. I agree with you 100%. Here's some new organizations I think they're going to name themselves. They're going to be called Center for Ultimate Truth, or Institute for Good Thoughts, or Shut the Fuck Up and Obey Place. Hey, come see me do stand-up on tour in Ontario, California, Davenport, Iowa, Las Vegas, Nevada, Chicago, Illinois, a special video show with stand-up, and Grand Rapids, Michigan. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.